Hi, welcome back to Faith and Conviction, and I'm your host, Ray Harris. And as the sun is setting here on this beautiful day in South Texas, we want to cover our Torah portion for this week. And it's really a powerful teaching this time, and it's coming from Genesis chapter 25, verse 19, through chapter 28, verse 9. Now, I'm not really sure how to pronounce this Hebrew word, but this one is a word that is translated as generations. So this is an important word that we want to look at real quick and see what this Hebrew word means for us. So the Strong's numbering that goes with this Hebrew word actually goes to the Hebrew word H8435, and I think that's pronounced Toldot. And Brown's Driver Briggs says that it has several applications and definitions, and one of those is descendants, and we think of that like generations. We have one generation after another generation, but it also means things like results or proceedings, and then the idea of generations and genealogies. This is actually a very in-depth word, and it means more things than just generations. Now, I say that because when you read the King James version of the Bible, it uses the word generations for every instance of this Hebrew word except once, and that change is found over in Exodus chapter 28, verse 10, and it translates it as birth. So as we can see, sometimes the King James even looks at it and says, okay, well, that word generation doesn't really fit too well. So I was thinking about this as I was studying, and I was looking at different translations. In almost all translations that I looked at today, because I just did a quick comparison and I wanted to look at it, almost all of them use the word generations. However, there are two translations that do not use the word generations. The Jewish Publication Society actually uses the word story, S-T-O-R-Y, and the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a Messianic Bible that believes that Jesus is the Messiah, uses the word history. Now, I actually think that these two words do more to help us understand this Torah portion, because when you read Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19, it says, this is a Jewish Publication Society of the Torah, which I have right here, the one I bring with me every week. It says, this is the story of Isaac, the son of Abraham. So it's very interesting. And you could also look at it, this is the history. Now, what unfolds from that is actually not so much about Isaac's life as much as what his boys do and become, and how they mature, what choices they make, how those choices affect the family, but also the choices of the parents and how those affect the family. So this Torah portion is about history of heartache, betrayal, and loss. And this is actually very profound, because this is a major section of a family that gets itself into turmoil. The brothers find themselves at odds with each other. The parents are finding themselves at odds with each other. And by the end of this Torah portion, it's very interesting. Both Jacob and Esau find themselves running. Jacob runs in fear, protecting his life. And Esau runs in anger. And both of these are very profound moments in people's lives where we fear something or we're angry at something, and both of these cause us to run. Now, what's interesting is this does have a story of redemption. And down in Torah portion 8, which is going to be Genesis 32 verses 3 or 4, depending on which translation you're using, down to chapter 36, verse 43, that Torah portion 8, we're going to find these sons having come back together, capable of helping each other when their father dies. Now, that's very important, but right now where we're sitting and we're seeing the history of Isaac, we see a history of turmoil. What I want to see and help bring across is that when we look at the New Testament and we see the reconciliation that God does through the Messiah with humanity, and help the church and help the Jews and help the Gentiles, we see a different picture, I guess. We see one of coming together in harmony, sacrificing for each other, but not yet in this Torah portion. In this Torah portion, we're seeing the beginnings of what causes turmoil. Bad choices, people being people. Why do we do what we do? But what we want to see is that both with Moses and with the Messiah, they're working together. Because Moses is about to teach us in two Torah portions, reconciliation. And the Messiah teaches us reconciliation. It may take months, it may take years, but we can reconcile. And reconciliation is just as important as seeing the turmoil. Both are true in life. This is the power of Moses, and this is the power of Messiah. And until next time, I hope that you're encouraged by this and continue to seek God, know Messiah, and find hope.